May 19th, 11:04. It is Friday. It's EDC weekend. Rates are incredibly expensive here. This was the weekend last year. I went to Southern California, played Morongo, Agua, and Lake Elsinore. Also went to a party at Herbs and Rye's house. So don't stay in Vegas for this weekend. I am going to Glendale, Arizona. I heard there's 3 casinos. I always knew there was one, Talking Stick. I've been there. Now I've heard about Desert Diamond in Glendale, which is very close to the Airbnb, and I heard there was a 3rd in the southeastern part of that metropolitan area. Nothing actually in Phoenix, which is funny. I don't know if I'm going to the 3rd. I don't even know if I'm playing tonight, so I'll show you the drive-in. I know I need to drive in. I very much need to do laundry, and that might really take up most of the day. Tomorrow, either Desert Diamond or Talking Stick, and the day after, the other one, there will be 2 days of poker, and then one day I drive back. So another road trip, and here we go. 3:51 arrival time. If you could see it, it's a little blurry, I know. The sun's shining on the GPS. 3:51 arrival time. As I'm stuck in traffic on the strip, just getting on, but saying goodbye to the strip. Just getting on to I-15 South, but saying goodbye to the strip. 3:51 will not be when I get there. The time zone is not changing. For this part of the year, Arizona and Vegas are the same time zone, but it will be after 3:51. I'm gonna stop for gas, I imagine, at some point. We'll see what gas prices are in Arizona. So it'll definitely be after 3:51, the arrival time. But if I drove straight, that's about it. It's 11:13 right now, 3:51. You could do the math and figure out how long it would take to drive one straight shot from Vegas to Glendale. With pink on the radio, but I'll lower it. I'm guessing this is Lake Mead. I'm very close to the Hoover Dam, I think. I'm not really paying attention to the sign so much, but still in Nevada, definitely haven't seen the Arizona sign. And yes, here we go. Lake Mead National Recreation Area. So this is Lake Mead. That's what I thought. I got it right. And I guess that's it for now. Going to be passing through, and you're not going to be able to see the water so much in a second. So just wanted to show you Lake Mead, and probably next time I'll show you Arizona. All right, it's only like 10 minutes later after Lake Mead, but I am in Arizona now. Peace out, Nevada. I'll be back in 3 days. And now I'm in Arizona. Gotta make it to Glendale. Nice scenery. Probably next time I turn the camera back on will be when I stop for gas and give you a cool story about something that happened yesterday. Herbs and Rye would love this. He claims to be able to wrangle any animal, including poisonous snakes. But I'm gonna stay away from this non-concrete area. So as I'm stuck in traffic very close to the Airbnb though, I will tell you the story of what happened yesterday. Hadn't checked the air in my spare tire for about a decade. So it didn't have a lot in there, like none. Like the gauge didn't come out at all. The part that shows you the PSI, it didn't move at all. So let me see if I could, 1 second. So I went to Conseco's because I've seen the machine where you can fill it with air. Never used it, but I've seen it. So it says $1.50, quarters only. Okay. I was a little suspicious because it's like the one in New York where it charges you money and there's no way to see how much air is going in the tire. Which I think no air goes in at all and they just take your money. The one in Lincoln, Nebraska near my old apartment was very good. It was the opposite. You would hit the buttons, you would set the PSI to your goal PSI, then it was free. You would, you know, put it up against the tire, and as soon as you connected it to the tire, you would see the display would change to what the PSI of your tire was, and then you would see it increasing until it got to your goal PSI that you typed in, and it would beep and you would take it off. Very good system, and you're spending tons of money there on gas and Gatorade and snacks. They're not charging you for it. Here, they charge you for it. I doubt it's gonna work. So I put in, first of all, 5 quarters. It's $1.25. And the machine starts making noise. So apparently it's $1.25, not $1.50. I hold the thing up against the tire for as long as it goes. I have no idea what the time is. I have no idea what the PSI started at is changing to, and then it stops. I put the gauge in, and again, nothing. I'm like, does the gauge still work? I check one of the tires on the car, 34 PSI. The gauge is working, but there's just no air in this tire. So very close to Conseco's, I could walk there in like 30 seconds, but not associated with Conseco's is a tire shop. So I carry the tire over. There's a guy who I think is Haitian. I've played with Haitian guys. I could hear them speaking French with a Caribbean accent, probably Haitian. He didn't speak much English, but he understood that I needed air in the tire, so he hooked it up to his much better machine, which had a dial on it. I could see the entire time the dial moving up. The spare tire said it needs a 60 PSI. I asked him to fill it until it was 60. He did. I also didn't have the cap for the spare. He gave me one. Then he calls over someone else to explain in I don't know what language what exactly we did for what the payment is. The other guy, upon hearing this, said, oh, nothing, just like tip the guy if you want. So I tipped that guy, and then the spare tire actually has air in it now. So didn't have to use it or anything. Hope I never have to use it, but in case I do, it actually works now. A year ago, like when I drove from Vegas to Council Bluffs, unbeknownst to me, the tire had no air in it, so it was very good that I didn't need to use it. But yesterday, kind of at Conseco's, kind of adjacent to Conseco's, that's what happened. And of course, classic Conseco's, that the air pump takes your money, but not the correct amount, and gives you absolutely no air. Here is the room, my bedroom in this house, my towel. Just did some laundry. Here are clothes. My Amazon Fire is charging. And my laptop over there. Got a microwave, probably won't use it. The host charged for these 3 days $140 and change with the discounts from buying gift cards and paying less than the value of the card. $109.83 is what I paid for these 3 days. And that about wraps up getting here. Today just drove in, did laundry. Really had to do laundry. Tomorrow I plan on playing Desert Diamond. Next day, Talking Stick. That's it for now. Tomorrow, Desert Diamond Poker. It's Saturday, and this weekend last year, EDC weekend, I went to Southern California, and I remember the video, pretty sure it was at Agua. I only spoke in Spanish, so after this sentence, only speaking in Spanish. La casa de Airbnb es cercana a Desert Diamond. Necesito conducir por 4 millas, más o menos, en 15 minutos estaré en Desert Diamond. Estoy en Desert Diamond. Primero, este es el ciudad número 10. Yo quiso 10 ciudades por este año, por el channel. Long Island, 1. Atlantic City, 2. Council Bluffs, 3. Las Vegas, 4. California, 5, 6 y 7. Oakland, 8. Denver, 9. Y aquí, Glendale, 10. 10 ciudades. No serpientes. Y segundo, necesito jugar póker. En la mesa 1-2, yo perdí $29 en 25 minutos. Y ahora en la mesa 2-3, yo estoy perdiendo $10 más o menos. Tenemos 4 mesas 2-3 ahora y tenemos 3 mesas 1-2 ahora. La mesa 2-3. Yo jugué por 4 horas y 7 minutos y yo perdí $60. Me voy a conducir a la casa de Airbnb y me voy a dormir y mañana Talking Stick. Alright, the car is running, the AC is on, it's really hot, it's like 97. Ironically, I came to a place that has a lower humidity than Vegas. Although it's still very hot, the car is like an oven, so that's going. I'm gonna get to Talking Stick. It's pretty far, it's like a 45-minute drive, but I'll get there, I'll play. I have a Roadrunner story for you. Those are rare. And yeah, you know, the point of these trips, a trip like this, not really to kill the hours. I have done that before. I remember on May 3rd and 4th, 2019, I drove, ultimately I was driving from Nebraska, the semester ended in law school, to Atlantic City. stopped in Joliet for a day, but then the 3rd and the 4th I stopped in Pittsburgh. So on the 3rd I drove from Joliet to Pittsburgh and still got 8 hours 15 minutes in, and then the next day, knowing I would need to wake up and drive to Atlantic City the day after, I got 11 hours and 4 minutes in, something like that. It was 19 hours 18 minutes total over those 2 days. So I have, you know, combined a lot of driving, you know, the travel and tons of poker. Not this weekend though, just had to get out of town for EDC weekend and playing a few hours but not going nuts. And that's the view from the parking garage, just nothing in the middle of nowhere, Arizona. Okay, so this driveway is leaving that way, leaving the garage up there, and you can see a vehicle right there that's entering. That driveway right up there on top of the hill is where the only time I've ever seen an actual Roadrunner. Bryce, what was it doing, you might ask? I'm not kidding, it was running across the road. I was driving in, it was about 2 years ago, it was 2021, it was mid-April, I was in Vegas, and I heard WinStar was finally reopening, so I booked rooms in Oklahoma and Texas, and I came to Phoenix for 3 days and played here for 2 of them. And one of the days I was driving in, a Roadrunner ran across my car on that driveway. It was running across the road, literally, and that was the only time I saw a Roadrunner. Had to tell my mom, of course, her favorite character on Looney Tunes is a Roadrunner, so much so that when I found out the University of Texas San Antonio, UTSA, their team name is the Roadrunners, I got her a shirt with a Roadrunner on it, and she like actually follows their football team now. We watched their bowl game a couple of years ago. It was the only football game my mom ever watched that was not a Super Bowl. So there's a high hand going on for all day today in Vegas. That would be a terrible thing. Vegas and Maryland Live. Here I expect it to be a lot like the Horseshoe Baltimore, where it brings people out to play who wouldn't normally play, but don't just sit here and wait for royal flushes. They actually play hands. So I expect a ton of good tables going today. The casino is behind me, but they moved the poker room in the past 2 years. Now it's in this tent. I'll show you in a second. Shout out to, from yesterday, Big Fish No Shrimp. That's the name he went by in Bravo. He told me they moved it when I told him I was playing Desert Diamond yesterday, but talking stick today. Here is the tent, quote unquote. Not, you know, a tent you would bring if you were camping by yourself, but if you could get a better view of the top, which you can't really from here or through the camera. Yeah, not that solid of a structure. And there is the actual casino. Now poker is separate. Don't like that. No stragglers walking around, but no wait list. You can't call in. I do like that. All right, I'm done. If I ever stay here on an extended stay, I'll find out how to drive to this surface parking right near the poker room, the tent. But I don't know how to get there. Wasn't trying to get there, so I got a long walk through the casino to the garage where I parked. Not a long walk, I guess, but longer than if I parked right there on the surface lot. Pretty sure I only have losing sessions lifetime in the state of Arizona. Pretty sure before this weekend it was just 2021 on the way from Vegas to WinStar. 2 sessions, I think both were losing. I know I lost yesterday, I lost today. Today I had aces, kings, or queens. I combined 6 times, lost with 5 of them, and one's got no action pre-flop, so winning absolutely tiny or losing are my 2 options, basically for the whole year. It's amazing that I'm up any amount of money. But it's not devastating, it's more annoying than anything else, and it's just been happening a lot this year. That's about it. Tomorrow, another video, the last video of this road trip, short road trip, but 4 videos total. Tomorrow I'll be driving back to Vegas. I check in at the Rio whenever I get back into town. Today, I got 1 more stop, though, before I head back to the house. You'll see in a second. I'll have the number 2 with cheese on it.
Is that a meal?
Just the sandwich.
Anything else?
And no mustard.
Anything else?
That's it.
Your total be 907 at the window. Okay,
back at the house. This is the final day. So shout out to John. I just played with him at Talking Stick. He was on my left briefly. We didn't overlap for a ton of time. I didn't play a marathon day, like I said. This trip wasn't for massive hours. I'm gonna go inside and in the morning, head back to Vegas. All right, the quick road trip to Arizona is over. EDC is over, heading back to Vegas, check into the Rio. My plan is to show you some scenery on the way back and intersperse with that, regale you with some stories about how Arizona poker, believe it or not, is different than Vegas poker. And before I get going, kind of a shout out to AZ Snoop. That's his name on Twitter. We've met at a Trooper Thursday. Didn't see him at the casinos, but could have. Interesting that there's this bat information at this rest stop. Funny story about bats before I get into all the poker stuff. So when I first moved to Nebraska for law school, I was renting a room in a house before I got my apartment. I was moving out the next day. This was my final night in the house. Like late at night, it was like midnight or 1 a.m. One of the other tenants knocked on my door and she said, "Are you afraid of baths?" And I thought, that's weird. I barely ever talk to her, and now on my final day in the middle of the night, she's taunting me about hygiene practices. And that's not what she said. What she said was, "Are you scared of bats?" Because somehow a bat got into her bedroom and we had to get it out. We did. I didn't really do it the Manu Ginobili way, but we got it out, kind of got it into a box that was like kind of covered, and just opened the door to the front, opened the front door to the house and just threw it out and hoped that the like not so tight lid came loose and the bat was able to escape and fly off, and that's what happened. So there's my bat story. Don't have any more of them. Poker, differences between Arizona poker and Vegas. Everything basically. Sat down at Desert Diamond. Guy on my right had 1100. He got down to 350. He got back up to 1300. He left with nothing. In Vegas, he would have left well before he got to 1100. Saw a flop check raise from 40 to 175, followed by a turn bet of 200. On the turn, got all in for 600 effective, and the other player showed a pair. Also, on the run out, the flush came in and the straight came in, and the guy who check raised the flop and then led 200, got all in on the turn, mucked. So he did not have the flush nor the straight, and not a set either. I don't know what he could have had. I guess it also makes no sense for him to have air. I could see if he got to the river somehow, like calling with the draw the whole way and to make some stab at the pot on the river, but like pre-flop was like 20 bucks. I mean, he could have just folded the flop, lost 20. Instead he lost like 850 that hand or something. There was a hand on the turn. It was 2 pair versus set. Okay, nothing ridiculous so far that happens. But on the river, the river card brought 3 to a straight and 3 to a flush. In Vegas, check, check. That's what happens every single time. Everyone's terrified. These players still got all in for like 300 more, 2 pair versus set, even though there was 3 to a straight, 3 to a flush on the river. A guy triple barreled. Don't see a lot of triple barrels that often. He had king jack offsuit, he raised pre, he bet the flop, he bet the turn, he bet the river, and he never had anything, but he fired 4 barrels at it. I think on the flop he had 2 overs and 1 back door. That was like the most equity he had at any point in the hand. And he got called down every street by 10-9. 10-9, hit a 9 at some point in the hand and held on. Over 1 limp, king 8 suited, made it 30 to go at a 2-3 table. Got 3 bet to 125, snap called, and shoved a flop with a pair and a draw. And that was a pretty big pot. That was like, I don't know, $1,000 pot, pair and a draw versus an overpair. I knew the 3-better was never folding. It took him a long time to call, but he was never folding. He was ahead until the draw came in, but you don't see that a lot from king 8 suited in Vegas these days. He's staying in the shade. I'm trying to get him, see him pop out into the sun a little bit. There's a couple of them now. I have no idea if you can see this. I'm having a tough time through the camera seeing this. They really don't like when I'm trying to get close to them, but trying to get you some lizards on camera. I just changed from US 93 to I-40 West, and gonna stop soon and tell you some more poker stuff, but here's the scenery I'm looking at. All right, last stop. I am in Kingman, Arizona, and if you were a diehard Mets fan like me, you think Kingman, you think Dave Kingman. Texted my mom, guess what city I'm in, and my clue was, think transient Mets power hitters. I bet you before I'm done filming, she texts me back and says Kingman. Told you my mom would get it. Kingman, Arizona. She got it right away. 1 minute. Anyway, I think I promised you more hands. There was over pair versus top pair, which, you know, even in Vegas, you still get action on that. The run out was terrible though. It was 3 to a straight, 3 to a flush, and the over pair went for it on the river, just shoved all in. Top pair called, which would not happen in Vegas. Top pair would just be terrified of everything. Over pairs, 2 pair, sets, straights, flushes, that wouldn't happen in Vegas. Also, ace high flush versus 3 high flush. Ace queen of diamonds versus 3 2 of diamonds. They both flopped the flush. Just the river. Money went in on every street, but just the river went bet 150, raise 300, call. I mean, in Vegas, 3 2 of diamonds doesn't even get to the flop. So that's it. Here in Arizona, I got about 2 hours left to get to Vegas. Check in at the Rio. Gonna get back to Vegas and play. Alright, if you can see that arrival 4:38, it's 4:22, so getting pretty close, and I'll see you in the Rio parking garage. Alright, here I am at the Rio. There it is, parked on the west side next to Gold Coast on the Palms. I usually get the Ipanema Tower, which is on the west side. Funny story, for like the last 2 years, it's all I've gotten, the Ipanema Tower. On the east side is the Masquerade Tower, and that's Bill Tate's favorite, which is not a common favorite, but it is his favorite. Last week, I got Masquerade for the first time in many years. But that's a wrap, and hope you enjoyed it.